Welcome, humans. My name is Iris Sullivan Daire, and I'm here with the beautiful Ginger Edwards. This is the Nurture Pod. This is season 2, episode 1. And you're at the place where we explore that kind of land between what is and what is possible, and talk about our efforts to step towards that world that we know is possible, in which there is equity and kindness and people taking care of each other and the earth. That's what we're talking about, that world that we touch all the time. It's right here. It's right now. At the very same time that there's a lot of other stuff happening.
Yay. I like that. Well, welcome to season 2, everybody. This is exciting. We made it through a whole year of Nurture podcasts, and we're back around the wheel. And so we'd like to always start with the question, what are you nurturing? Iris, what are you nurturing right now?
I am nurturing, I'm just back from having spent 10 days in the wilderness. And I've been pretty stressed and before I left on my trip. And just doing a lot of shallow breathing, just like physiologically, all those things. And taking a really huge parasympathetic break and spending a lot of time in nature, literally in the wilderness, was a reminder that I can change how I interact with my life. And I don't need to, it doesn't need to be super stressed or away from it. I can so anyway, so what am I nurturing right now? I am nurturing re-entry into my work life and into my life at a time of crazy time in our country, and trying to do it in a way that is more mindful and more heart-based and more intentional, and just kind of like mindfully monitoring when I'm starting to whip myself up and disassociate and get stressed out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working on.
Good one.
No pressure.
No, that's exactly the point, right? There's no pressure. Or noticing that we don't have to do that. We don't have to apply pressure where it's not needed. That's beautiful. I like that. And also it's just really, you look really nice. Like, you look, as soon as I saw you come on video, I was like, oh, you've been on vacation. You can visually see on you, not just the color of the skin is a little more, there, because we're such pale little, froglings over here in Oregon. Like, our wet winter into wet spring. But just like, yeah, you look relaxed. You can tell. It's a blessing on you. It's nice. Looks good.
Nice. Yeah. No, yeah. And yeah. Yeah. So what are you nurturing, my dear?
Oh my goodness. Well,
did not just have a vacation. We should
know.
No,
I did not have a vacation. This is not, I'm trying to get to a very long vacation. But right now I am in the process of trying to sell a property. So that is a whole thing. If you've never done it, it is like, try to think about your house and then moving every single thing that you own out of your house and cleaning it to a point where a photographer can come in and take 360-degree photographs of every room in your home, because that's what they do now, because they give people these online tours where you could go through the house virtually and look at everything. So the old school thing in my brain where, oh, a photographer's coming, well, I'll just shove everything in this area. So, then he'll point his camera.
The Instagram version.
Yeah. Like, I was like, and they were explaining to me, like, no, that's not a thing. Like, everything has to be clean at the same time, 360. And that sent me into a whoa, like a shedding process, as if a snake, if it's my home was a snake, it was shedding a major skin layer. I have been shedding a stuff layer because there's just nowhere to hide it. And and I'm to the point of like getting ready to go travel. So my plan isn't even to move or get a storage unit or anything. It's like to actually get rid of it so I can leave. So the point is, like, I have a barn. I could put things in a barn, but I'm like, if I put it in why? I just cleaned my barn out. So now I'm really, it's like that process of, I don't know. Have you ever walked into your
That's
pantry or your
huge.
closet or your bedroom and just turn around 360 degrees and be like, everything has to be removed. It has to be like a clean shot. It unveils like crazy layers of stuff that I have. And my pantry, every single thing I pull out. And of course, I'm very conscientious about things. So I'm trying to be like, I have to compost it or recycle it or find a new home for it. And which thrift store should get it. I go through this big process. I'm not just like throwing things in garbage bags, which would be much easier, but I'm not. And yeah. And so it's like a whole sorting. So I'm nurturing this weird, like, part of me is in the past sorting through all my stuff. I mean, everything I own, all of it. Part of me is in the present, just trying to really enjoy my time in my beautiful retreat center, because I do own a gorgeous place and I've built it to this point in my life where I kind of created the thing I wanted, so I'm kind of living in this apex moment of a certain,
Yeah.
climb of my life. Like, this is what I wanted to have and I got it. And so I'm in it and I'm trying to really soak it in, because once you travel, you don't have everything, right? Like, you don't have all this,
Yes.
like, stuff is complicated because
Yes.
you spend a long time getting all this stuff, and then you do use it every once in a while. Like, there is some time I want this castor oil pack kit or like weird stuff, like just thing you accumulate, and you pull it out and you're like, okay, well, I won't have this traveling in Peru, I guess that one time, a year or whatever, I pull it out, I'll miss it. And so you have all this comfort built into all your things,
Hmm.
and yet it's all things, and it's not, it also is kind of a burden. And when you start to shed it, so then I have this, that's my present, trying to be really grateful for how much beautiful, like, comfort I've built. Like, all the things are here. Like, I have everything. I have every kitchen appliance you could possibly want. Like, I've got all of it. And yet the future me is also like kind of excited that all of this will be gone and I won't have any of it. I love my dog. I'm trying to enjoy my time with my dog, who I need to find a new home for. And yet I kind of like, she's got fleas right now and I'm trying to deal with it. And I'm just like, it'd be nice. Kind of part of me is like, it'll be great just not have pets for a minute, because they need things, like my cats need
Hmm.
things, my dogs need things. And so I'm in this weird, like, 3-point time frame, past, present, future. And I was telling my friend Kelly on the phone last night, it's like I'm dying. I mean, like, it's like you're going through a house like someone died. Like, everything goes, and it's really an interesting moment of, like, I know everything, like all the stickers, all the, all the books, I mean, everything's just boom. And it is a sort of a death while you're still alive. Like, your whole life gets given away. And
Yeah.
so I've never done this before. The last time I did a big sale of a property, I just literally rolled down the hill and took the property, like, right down the hill,
Yeah. Yeah.
across the street. So everything just kind of got pushed down. And so it was very, wasn't seamless. It was still emotional to leave that land for this land, but it was much, easier, like, just to move all the stuff and throw it in a barn. Like, okay, this time I'm actually having to I'm going through that stuff too, like getting through all that and then all the layers on top of that. So it's a bit, I am nurturing this weird state of being of, it's very unique, and kind of
Well,
profound. And I'm trying to be with it as best I can. And my kitchen right now looks like a bomb went off because I had
I
to,
saw a picture.
oh my God, I scoured the whole, I figured my theory of I've just got my period. So my menstrual brain was like, here's the plan. Just go through every room, get all the stuff that can't be there and put it all in one spot. That way it's all there. And then all you have to do is clean out the kitchen. And I have a very large kitchen. It's like, it was a renovated barn, right? So it's big, but still it is like wall to wall. Like, I brought everything from the house. It's all clean. It's all done. Except for the kitchen is like this one crazy yard sale looking thing.
Wow.
And my pets are just like, what is going on? like climbing through all this stuff, being like, what is happening right now? So it's really interesting. That's what I'm doing.
And it's interesting too, because it's such a reflection, really, of the of world events in a lot of ways, of this transition
Mm,
point. Clearly, we are in this massive
right.
transition point. And I don't know if my do I, am I how do I sound? Is I'm realizing I
Mm.
don't have stuff as close as I sometimes do.
Oh, you
Um,
sound good. To me, you
okay.
sound good.
Oh, good. Um, yeah, like it's so this pivot between the past and the future. Sometimes
Hmm.
we don't feel that fulcrum as much. We're just kind of living our life. And sometimes I feel like it does feel like we've got one foot on either side of the teeter-totter, and we're very connected
Yeah.
to both the past and the future. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes you can tell when the world is in a portal, when we are
Yes.
walking through a portal right now. And
Hmm.
I think we kind of have been walking through.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same portal. I think during COVID, we walked through a portal, and then there was all these branches available to us again. And that's just like over and over again. But it's like
Mm.
we're actively this is a moment of tremendous pivot. It's a tremendous pivot point that we're at right now.
Yeah, it is. And I
And
feel strangely aligned, like, but with this process I'm in, it doesn't,
mhm,
it's almost like full force, like I'm with the whole energy of it, you know? So it almost feels, at one hand, it feels crazy to be making my life so like upended while everything else is feels so upended, you know, like there's no
yeah,
stable point at all. It's all, but also it like when there's no stable point, it kind of is one comfortable to be like, well, I'm just gonna go then because it's all like, why not just jump in? Like you're in it, you know, and not trying to hold
yeah.
on to a stable point in chaos where that's harder too. Like I'm gonna try to create my little, you know, stable place because then you're kind of defending it. Now I'm just like not defending anything. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on either. So I'm in this chaotic change with everything else that's in a chaotic change. But I think within it, there is a lot of potential to, you know, go this way, that way. And it's really teaching me, and I'm sure as I leave and really start being alone and away from the community and everything, it's going to teach me even more like, where do you find ground, you know, in this ever changing stream of life? Because it is always happening. It's just that we have this illusion sometimes of sameness or stability that we create
Mm.
through place and people, and like, you know, and our brains need it. We need, you know, we need to have some sense of that order, and like especially our left brain, we've talked about this a lot, but the left brain really likes to understand what's going on and feel like be in control. So it starts to freak out. I mean, so anybody who feels like they know what they're saying, if you can, I mean, I think a lot of people get into Trump and stuff just because he's like, nope, this is what's happening, and they just want to believe that somebody's got this figured out. Like they would rather believe that he is that, you know what I mean, like just put all your doubts aside and be like, he must know what he's talking about, because the alternative is so scary that I can't accept that, you know? So I'm just going to go with trusting that he's got some secret plan that doesn't look very good in the forefront, but must be going to work out in the long term, you know?
So I've got that sparking like four things.
Okay, go.
Number one is, and I wish I could grab Joe from upstairs. I think it was a New York Times article talking about what politicians on either side talk about. And so they're like there's like five areas that people have concerns about. And so like the more conservative you are, the more you're concerned about safety, for instance. The
Mm,
more liberal you are, the more you're worried about fairness. And so
mm,
I can't remember what the other three are. I think one
mm,
is inclusion. So like, and then there's safety, I'm not going to come up with them.
right.
But the takeaway, however, is that most liberal politicians are only talking about two of those five things.
Mm,
And that that's because that's like when you look at how much do people care about those five things, they care very little about the other three. When
You
you
can't even
look
remember
over,
them.
I can't even remember them exactly. Um, the conservative people, they care more about the other three, but they do care somewhat about those two.
Mm,
And so when you look at the talking points, the reason that the conservative politicians have been so successful is they're kind of talking, they're gathering up because they're addressing in some way all five things. Like
mm,
it's like on the graph, it's really clear. Versus they're over here, the liberals are really kind of not addressing some stuff that's, so it's like it
mhm,
goes back, it's like when someone's like, it's as though they're it's as though I was saying to you, um, I was only ever talking about volcanoes or something.
mm.
Like, don't
That would
worry,
be weird.
we don't have any volcanoes here. It's all cool. Everything's cool. No volcanoes. And you're like, I'm not worried about the volcano. I'm worried about the fact that we just had 12 inches of rain in the last 24 hours and the creek is rising. Don't
Right.
worry about that because we've got you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. We got the volcano under
we
control,
got the
so we're good.
volcanoes. We're all cool. And so it's like,
I
you're,
like that. I like that. I think I'm just gonna start talking about like, you know what? But there's no volcano, so we're good.
we're
Let's move
cool.
on.
We're
Let's
good.
move on.
Did I
Next
tell you the
question.
thing? Did I tell you the thing about this is just a quick aside. Did I tell you the thing about the kid bleeding in the classroom?
No.
It was not, it sounds bad, but it wasn't bad. So when I was growing up, did we talk about this? When I was growing
No.
up, it was basically, I don't want to hear about it unless someone's got a broken arm or someone's bleeding.
Right. Yep.
And
Unless it's
Reese,
burning or bleeding. That's what I
yeah. And so, um, recently in the classroom, we're doing that, and then one kid's like, "Hey, hey," and the other kid's like pointing at the kid at his table, and it's like he's got blood on his leg. So I'm like, so I stop and I go over there, and sure enough, he'd picked off a scab, and I had
Oh.
a Band-Aid in my bag, so I'm like, and he's like, "Oh, I know, I didn't mean." So I went and I get him a Band-Aid, and I just start laughing because in my head I'm thinking, I don't want to hear about it unless somebody's bleeding, and like
Right.
somebody's actually bleeding,
There's blood.
and I just since then, so that was before my trip, but like since then, I'm just like, I keep looking at the world stage and be like, people are definitely bleeding. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot, like we do
Yeah,
actually have to pay attention.
we do.
So even though, yeah, anyway, I can't, sorry, that's
So
a
you
little
started
aside.
that being like you reminded me of four things, and you said one.
Oh, so the one was the nexus of
Right.
what people
These
want.
politicians are
How,
talking about the
yeah.
things.
And
Okay.
so like I think I can make the graph with my hands, but I guess nobody's watching it on YouTube.
Podcast. So
It's a podcast, so that doesn't really make any difference. And
unless
then
you're watching on YouTube, like some people watch us on
some
YouTube.
people watch it. The other thing was just really thinking about um like what do you need to be comfortable, right? So like I'm not
Mm,
getting rid of everything in my house, but I was traveling and we were doing art. That was part of the trip. I was meeting a friend, my friend Hannah, flew there from Vermont, and we were visiting the homestead of some of her ancestors who had established this place that is now within the Gila Wilderness. And so we went there. She transcribed a great aunt's journals, and
oh, cool.
we hiked to some of the places that she talked about in her journals, and we
Oh, cool.
hung out with these the people that bought the homestead from her family, the family that still lives there, and we were hanging out with these women in their 80s,
Hmm.
who were still ranching, and and so there was a lot about death and all about and just thinking about the impact of settlers
Hmm.
and just all of that. That was what we were doing, but we were also there to we want to do an art project together about this trip, and so we gathered very small amounts of basically colored rocks and colored dirt so we could make paint. And
Oh, cool.
we hiked up to an abandoned alum mine, which is just like the inside of it is just, it's constantly dissolving. And so it's just like covered with alum, which is
Mm.
a aluminum salt that's used in natural dyes. Um, so, and so that, so we had that adventure. And then I visited my sister, who is also an artist, and it got really cold and super crazy, like very windy. My sister lives in a very, very remote location, also adjacent to the wilderness, but like in the national forest, like a mile from the wilderness boundary, um, on another historic ranch, and at over 8,000 feet. And like they drive an hour and a half to go to the town of 400 people to get the mail.
Mm.
So super, super remote. And it, after Hannah left, it got, it was like down, it was very cold. And so instead of doing the outdoor things that we would have done, we holed up and made art together. And which is cut to the chase. My sister is a jeweler. She's a silversmith, and she does really innovative. I love her work. She does these really cool stuff. Um, but she's not primarily a painter, for instance, right? And so like those of us who are in the arts and who are not painters or sculptors of realistic, realism, there's always this little bit of like, am I a real artist if I can't draw like Michelangelo, And so the mantra which my sister was offering was, there are no rules in art. And we talked a lot about how, everything is made up.
Mhm.
Everything is made up. And for those who are really attached to rules, which is, half the population for real, temperament wise, that's comforting. That's a comforting place to know what's going on.
Left
And
brain.
yep, left brain really likes that. And another way to look at it is, if there are actually no rules, we can do so much. We can change everything.
Mhm.
And I guess that was the long way around to talk about, here I was on a trip all about the art process and making art and thinking about art, and then just being like, but what if there are no rules?
Yeah.
And and I have to say, so because most of the art that I do, I make all of my own colors. I have done that for decades. My sister had these like paint markers. I would never buy something like that because it's plastic, and it's acrylic paint, which is more plastic, and like literally like it's just not my MO. I'm not like saying I'm holier than thou. I'm just saying that my own
Yeah,
internal
you're like a
drama,
natural pigment person. I mean, that's what you do.
that's my passion.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
literally my deep interest anyway. So it's like it's not like I'm doing that and being like I gave up, you know, acrylic paint for Lent or something. It's just that that's not my MO. But it was really fun to use these markers. And I realized, not that I'm like gonna switch to using these markers, but that um what it really unleashed in me is, I feel like I now know how I can use my art to create images to support change.
Hmm.
And that came out of these conversations about there are no rules, and
Hmm.
realizing it's like, well, I can make an image that will take me 30 hours to create, or I can switch up what I make available to myself to make images and make an image in 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And I think that's a flex that would be beneficial
Mhm.
to me and make me more impactful.
Mhm.
to contribute to pushing us towards what's possible.
Yeah, because in a way, I mean, any passion that we have, even if it's like, it does become, we can create other little box for ourselves, right? Like this is not, now this is how I do it. This is how I make art.
Yes.
This is who I
Yes.
am. This is what I do. And like, so it's good to have experiences where you bust through that again. And you're like, well, I don't know. I could do whatever I want, you know? And I think I resonate with that because I had this, I found a laser toy, a little laser pointer that I use for my cats, and I started thinking about it. Like the culture is like a laser pointer, it just like, it moves this little dot around, like you should look like this, you should have this, you should be, the marketing is like the laser, and all these people are like chasing this laser point. Oh my god, we have to be over here to look pretty. Oh my god, we have to be over here to be like successful. Oh. And if you just, like, once your cats get older, they usually get tired of the laser pointer, right? Because they realize like you're just messing with them. It's just a point of light. And they're just like, yeah, it's not real. I'm not chasing. They just got to give you a dirty look, like, yeah, whatever. But when they're kittens, they love it. And I just realized, like, once you get to that point where you just kind of look at the person holding the laser pointer and you're like, yeah, I get it. Like, I see that you're just moving this point of, like, I'm not going to chase that. Like, thanks anyway, but no thanks. That is like freedom. It's a layer of freedom that you get. And I think that's where I'm feeling like, I'm like, I don't, you just, and so what precipitated that little aha moment with the laser pointer, that culture as a laser pointer, was that I got off social media for a while because social media was making me really anxious.
Hmm.
And I don't go to anxiety. That's not like I'm not a super anxious person. I get overwhelmed, like, but I don't go into like, oh, panic attack. I don't do that route. That it's not like my thing. But I was getting panicky because I was just way into, like, my algorithm was just so political and so much, over and over. And of course we know the way social media works. You just scroll through it and it's just like passive and it's just like more and more and more and more. And I was like
Hmm.
waking up at night and I was having like anxiety, like anxiety about what's going on in the world. And I'm like, you know what? I got to get off. Like, this isn't helping me. It's not doing any, am I making any difference? Like, no, I'm not, because nothing's getting better. It's just making me more, and I'm in the middle of this major life transition. So this is not
Not
helping,
serving.
not serving anybody at all that I'm in this. And plus, I don't like the Zuckerberg, the way he moves in the world and his offerings to the planet. I do not think are beneficial. Anyway, so like, I'm getting off Instagram. And oh my gosh, did it make a difference? And I'm somebody who, I mean, it's designed very, very well to, interact with your dopamine system and your brain. And it's very addictive. And it works for me. Like, I mean, when I get in there, I can spend hours scrolling Instagram because they got me. They got my algorithm down so well. They know exactly how to keep me in there, what I like, what I'm interested in. And so once I got off, I was like, I just took it off my phone. I didn't delete my account. I just, like, deleted it from my phone. And it was I started reading again because I realized I had lost patience with books. Like, books weren't moving fast enough, right? Because I was
Mm.
so used to having things go like be really interesting over and over and like these little bits. And so I was like, I was calmed down and I would get bored. So I'd actually like call up friends and like want to hang out with people more. Like, you get to see me like readjusting to a more normal life, like reading more, talking to people more, getting more things done, not being as anxious, taking time. I'm not feeling so overwhelmed. So I actually wasn't checking out of the news. I was actually listening to longer podcasts, doing more in-depth news, like talking more deeply about things instead of just getting these little snippets, of all this kind of broadband, like scatter shot of horrors going around the world and being like, oh my God, everything's horrible. I was kind of gardening and just listening to people like really doing deep dives into like certain parts of it so it can help me understand. So I'm sure everybody knows this anyhow, but yeah, getting off social media really helped my brain. And yeah, I just realized how much of a laser pointer social media was for me. I was just like, oh my God, be worried about this, be anxious about this, blah, 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 including buying stuff and, ads that are targeted and all the whole thing. And just
Yeah.
unplugged. I was just like, nah, I don't give a shit about any of that. I mean, not really, not like I don't care about the world, but I don't care about that algorithm. You know what I mean? Like the way it's pushed on us. And it's very freeing. So now I'm not sure I'm ever going to get back on. I'm having this pivot moment where I'm like, I think I could just stay off of that. And I'd be probably a way healthier, happier person. It's a
my
major addiction. I can't do it a little bit. Like I'm not
no,
a
well, it's totally
I'm not a one
designed.
drink on
It's
Instagram. Like I can't just have one,
oh yeah,
can't do it.
it's totally it's a heavy. It should be a class. What do they call that? Like what is heroin? Is that class schedule one?
Schedule one, yeah.
It's a schedule one
It is for
situation
me.
for I think for most people. I think it's
Yeah,
totally
oh
designed.
yeah.
It's totally they got it
Yeah.
dialed in.
Yeah.
My sister told me a story. Our cousin um was running this camp for he's quite religious, so it was a religious camp, but and so they had all of the kids put their phones in this like 5-gallon bucket with a lid on it
Mm,
because they were going to be having this, he's very skilled at outdoor stuff, and they were going to do outdoor stuff, and so they were snapping all the phones into this 5-gallon bucket for the week. One
withdrawals.
child was started was freaking out so bad that they literally fell to the ground and had dry
Wow.
heaves because they were so upset. And this is like a 10 or 11-year-old kid, and I was like, that right there,
Yeah.
it's like the DTs, yeah. No, it was good being in the wilderness.
Yeah.
But the irony is we weren't camping. We had a place to stay, and then we would take day adventures into the out, but
Mm,
um we had kind of sketchy Wi-Fi, but sketchy enough that it wasn't really worth we could I could text my family and say, we got back from the hike, we're cool.
yeah.
But not like video chat or anything, because
Hmm.
kind of, the kind of internet you have in remote areas is different.
Yeah. You're not scrolling Instagram, by the way.
Not
Uh,
no.
yeah. So I guess that leads us to this point where we were gonna do a little the
Oh,
four
yeah.
directions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because this is a new season and we wanted to harken back to season one, our very first episode. We invoked the four directions of nurture culture, east, south, west, and north, and then center. So we already started talking about, I think, the east, which is the mind, is associated with the element of air and communications and technology and the rising sun and new beginnings. And so we've been kind of invoking that this whole conversation. We're talking about art, ideas, inspiration, that we don't, we can just change up the rules. And just, yeah, the clearing of spaces like I'm doing physically, but also mentally, like clearing the channel for mental space and how important that is in the culture we live in. And so if I'm going to let us each invoke a little bit, but my invocation to the east is for the nurture culture, and that I think the east may be one of the most powerful elements to work with in this time that everything is so mental and everything is so driven by technology, that we focus on really, like, I'm going to say it, clearing the channel, like trying to keep your channel and our collective channel of nurture like clear as possible to what inspires us, what allows for the most freedom of expression, and that just taps us into like, yeah, the inspiration coming from our ancestors. I love that you brought in this like historical journey you were taking with art, but our ancestral, but also the future, and that
Mhm.
like all that time, like that past, present, future moment channel be clear so we can feel it all, communicating back and forth and not being bogged down by this just like mass overwhelm of information, because we live in a time where there's more information, but I feel like it's also like the most confusing and cluttered channels we can imagine. Like there's so much information trying to take in our bandwidth. It's just like overloaded, right? So
Mhm.
my invocation to the east is clear the channel. Um, and Iris, I'll let you call in your east
Mm.
for nurture culture.
I I think I'm thinking about singing. and like and voice and and I think it's all the elements, right? It's sort of like you can't separate the body from the mind and the spirit. It's all together. And so I guess my invocation for air is to connect to the eagle-eyed view,
Mm.
but in a kind of a grounded way.
Yeah.
So so clarity is definitely, which is a pause, which I don't often think of, like the wind. I often think of air as being really, very moving,
Mm-hmm.
but when we were in the Gila, one of the days it was very, very calm. And it was the quietest place I'd ever been.
Mm.
It was the quietest day I've ever experienced. So I think that I want to call in calmness within, that calm, like hold
Mm.
that calm winds within, because I think that's where I'll find the clarity.
Mm. That's beautiful. Yeah, I just like when you said it's like the quiet is such a beautiful thing to invoke in a culture that's so loud. It's just a really powerful, to have actual true silence is it's a really special thing to bring in. So we welcome the East, the clarity and the peace and the stillness and the movement. And everybody listening at home, you can make your own little personal invocation as we call in this direction of the rising sun and what we want to have come, what's new, what's emerging onto the horizon every morning. And I think it's beautiful to think of the east to the west as your personal journey every day. It's like what you call in the morning and then what you give thanks for in the evening. um in Peru, they would think the east to the west line is your personal line, daily practice, and then the south to the north is like the community practice. It's like it's the way you connect with everything else, which I love that idea too. So we're going to turn to the south,
Mm-hmm.
and the south is correlated to the element of fire, the noonday sun. Do you want to start? Because I started you want to call in
Mm.
the fire?
So I think it's the fire is hummingbird and mountain lion and golden eagles
Mm.
and um and it's like that fully present in the present moment,
Mm.
because your heart is so filled you can be nowhere else but in this moment right now.
Mm.
And it's like the fire to, like this, it's the fuel for the steam locomotive that you know your heart will take you to, so it's
Mm.
like recognizing that spark. This isn't very good evocation, but
Beautiful. No, it's
um
beautiful.
it's the being in the present moment to see the spark,
Mm.
to feel the spark, instead of being so busy that
Mm.
you miss that it's like a gong, right?
Mm.
Like when you, like, being able to, I guess I'm stuck on the pause, but the eternal now. Like it's like when you're in the now, it's not like now, 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 now. It's like now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're in that, You can see it, right?
Yes, but I love that you went, no. And I saw the gong. It was so good. Sorry, that was just awesome. So good. Yes, and I felt it when you did that. I was like, yeah, gong. Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, fire. I love fire. It's probably my favorite. I'm a double fire sign. And it is the year of the snake, right? So I think a lot about shedding. I have been in this process of snake shedding skin. Like I just keeps coming over and over to me. But it is the element that it's never old. And I think that's what you were saying with the present moment. Like fire is right now. It happens. It's a chemical reaction. It needs air. Of course, we start in the east, like it needs that in breath, that space, but it's action. It's like all fire is new, all water is ancient, I think is a saying. And I think that again, I'm going to refer to Peruvian shamanism, which I'm just learning about, which is so interesting. But they really talk about as what fire is doing is it's changing energy all the time. It's a magical it's like it's just it's drawing in old energy and changing it to new energy. That's its purpose, is to transform things from one state to the next. And so in a sacred flame in a temple, why that flame would be burning is to constantly be changing the energy from the old to the new. It's a constant process of transmutation. I like that word. And
mm.
as I started thinking about fire as transmutation, if we don't have sacred flame, if we don't have fires that we're tending purposefully, that this is my transmutation, this is how I'm burning this is what I'm doing, this is my intention, this is how I'm running fire. Fire can turn into burning down the second largest city in the United States. Like a fire can be wildly out of control because it will destroy. It's a very powerful, wild element. And unless we know how to work with it and honor it as sacred and really work with the transmutation that we need to do. We need to be in that process. We can't sit back. Like we are here to do things. We're alive and we're here to make the changes that we need to make in our time here on the planet embodied. And it's the now, right? It's like this is what we have. This is the time we've been given. These are the bodies we've been given. These are the ideas that are coming into our head. So anything we do that is our transmutation is our fire. It's our offering, and to offer it is sacred. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, how small the transmutation is. If it's someone flips you off in traffic and you take that and you transmute it in that moment into like, wow, I hope they're having a better day, like later, like that is, you just transmuted something very
Mm.
powerful. That, I mean, so it can be all these ways that we take the thought, which is the east, and we act or we don't act on it. But fire is that moment of, and it's always in the now, like you said. So when I'm
This,
calling in hold on, let me finish.
yeah.
I'm calling in the nurture culture. It's like acknowledging how powerful we are in the present moment to be the transmutation of action and fire through our sacred will and intention.
I, this is so sparking in me
That's what
that
fire does.
like fire ecology. Like I
Mm,
was in, Ponderosa Pines, there have been some massive fires in the Gila in the last 10 years. And the thing that I hadn't fully realized, because I haven't been there for about 5 years, I haven't been there since before the pandemic, but um like areas that had been completely burned, the trees were not killed, even though they lost all their needles in the fire.
mm,
And and so like even though they're still in a drought, like fire suppression,
mhm.
which is I think that when you look at people, we are suppressing our own fire and it is at our peril, right? So that,
Yeah.
when because of fire suppression, some of the fires got so hot that they sterilized the earth and they killed all the trees.
Right.
And in other areas that had fire more recently, the fire went through, it took out all of the dead wood and it took out all of the like, like the kind of the underbrush that's not helpful to that ecology, and the trees are restored. And so
Yeah.
it's like I'm just anyway, so what all of that you were saying, I was like, oh my gosh, fire ecology.
Yeah.
Like we need, like when we suppress, like are you suppressing, do you have a policy of fire suppression? Do you put off
Mm.
the thing that sparks your enthusiasm,
Mm.
like
Mm-hmm.
do you suppress that which ignites your life and makes
Mm.
you like, what lights you up? Are you
Yeah.
suppressing it?
Mm.
Or are you working with fire ecology? And it's like if
Yeah.
you look at indigenous peoples and I don't know about other places in the world, but I know here in Oregon that they were totally managing fire in the valley. I know that they were managing fire, um, and we're aware in many
Mm.
places in the West of the importance of fire. I know in Michigan that the white, that fire was essential to those forests as well, and it was just part of the process. So people that are paying attention to nature, instead of fire being only this demonic destruction,
Mm.
fire is a cleansing and, as you said, transmutation
And sacred.
and
And
sacred.
worked with, very consciously worked with as a powerful element. So beautiful. Yeah, we invoke the sacred working of fire ecology, inner and outer. For nurture culture, this is a powerful element. Okay, beautiful. So we'll turn to the west.
Mhm.
You and I are both located in the deep west, the westernmost point of the United States. Um, do you want to call in the west first?
Mm.
Water.
Oh, the river to the sea, the whales singing, the salmon returning, our heart, our the 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 full cup of tea offered, compassion, imagining and bringing the future. It is hearing the song of future generations and speaking it here and now.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, to me, water, I mean, water's life, right? We are the water planet and we are mostly water beings. And we evolved from water. So we are just, this planet Earth is to be of water, to be alive is to be of water. And so for nurturing the water element, all I can think about is, just making like redesigning the water as the primary lifeblood of any place that you live, like would be right relation. That would be like almost the first design would be, how do we live in right relationship to the most life-giving element of this place, which is the waters. I
Mhm.
mean, there could be nothing more sacred than water, and to me, nothing more like criminal than destroying or polluting or stealing water. It's like it's just a crime against this planet, and a crime against our own bodies to pollute water in any way. And I would love, like, I invoke the water element as like it is the setting sun, so also like the endings that we're in, and we're in these last degrees of Pisces. There's a real powerful like shift happening as all these planets and signs are like leaving 29 degrees of Pisces and entering the first degrees of Aries. There's like this huge like farewell tour of water energy going on. And I think that is about us hopefully understanding in this weird chaotic time that we're in, like, yeah, like what we've got it wrong emotionally, with how we take care of ourselves, how we take care of each other, and how we take care of the waters. because things follow that, right? Like if we were going to design a city or a town and the first thought was, okay, well, here's the river. How do we build everything so it gives like the most life and respect and, you know, healing for this waterway? Let's start there. And I feel like if we started designing from that place, there's everything else would be better. Like we would just inherently build in sustainability if we were considering the water being like the one major thing that we had to focus on, protect, have communication with, use wisely,
Mhm.
enhance, you know?
Mhm.
And I feel like that would be such a beautiful nurture culture shift. Instead of, you know, waterways in the culture we live in have been used as drains, basically, or as ways to, you know, move toxic, like to dump. It's a dumping ground. And
Mhm.
oh my gosh, again, if you wanted to take that metaphor and look at our bodies and how we use water, you know, we dump like the toxins in our bodies and what's happening with our own physical forms with that same reflection uh, to nature as to ourselves, because we are not separate. Instead of being like the purest, cleanest waters of the body, like that. And that's the emotional body. Like, how do we respect first and foremost our emotional states? And we do not compromise them. We design our lives to nurture, support, protect, cleanse, enhance our emotional bodies. That's nurture culture to me. Like that, you can't make a culture other than that if that was the foundational principle, is to protect the water. So for me, to invoke water is to invoke like this beautiful, like health and cleansing and yeah, just like life source itself, you know, the sacred well, the sacred
And
flame,
it's
the sacred well.
and ironically, like water is electricity,
Mm,
you know? It's like you know, it's like if you're in a lake and the lake gets struck by lightning, you know,
mhm,
kerzap, you know? So like it conducts. It conducts. And water contains is really very, very there's a lot of contained energy
mhm.
in water. I mean, water is astounding.
And it changes states, right? It's a
Yes,
gas, it's frozen, it's liquid. I mean, it's very magical. Like water is
it's
ancient because it never leaves. Like the water we're experiencing on planet Earth has been here. It's just changing states and moving around, but it's been this is ancestral. You know, it's associated with the past and the because it's we're literally inhaling water vapor that our ancestors, you know, it's all shared. Like we are in it, just like our blood is all shared. So it's really deeply connective. You know, it's all connected and flowing together all the time. It reminds us like that. And I think that's really beautiful.
ah,
Mm.
yay. Ah, so quick thing, I think of lymphatic system
Mm,
as the watershed of our
yeah.
body.
Mm,
And if you don't know this, like our arteries bring oxygen out to all of our cells and nourishment, all that's in our bloodstream, right? But the veins only bring back, they don't bring back 100% of what goes out
mm,
because the lymphatic system brings that back. And the lymphatic system can only bring that back if you move because it has no pump. There is no heart for the lymphatic system, but it's moving like 15% of what goes out in your arteries that does that, that gets brought back to the heart via the lymphatic system. And so it's the intercellular liquid. And so it's everywhere. It's around and I had kind of like a vision about it when I was receiving energy healing from
mm,
a very amazing practitioner when I was ill. And what I had this realization that it is the golden light. It's what the energetic kind of like life force I think is within is like you can think of the lymphatic system as this golden because it's the liquid is kind of golden, this golden light that is surrounding every single cell in
mm,
our bodies. is surrounded in this elixir that is our life. And when we move, it moves. And so, like, when we breathe, it's moving. So, like, yeah, I don't know how to say, but it's the sacred water of us. It is our sacred water. And it is, yeah, it's like, it is, not to get all like God got us all that is, but it is, that is what it is.
It is what it is, people.
It's all that is. It's
What it is. That yes, I've heard more and more about the lymphatic system like recently. It's like so many people have, I don't know, it's just been coming up like
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's a theme. I've just been hearing people talk about how important it is and how we don't understand it that well, and like there's not a lot of focus on it, but it's actually like the
And
biggest.
it's two watersheds. We have, it's like, it's almost like there's like a continental divide. So we have these, like, one of the is like the top right quadrant in your right arm. So like kind of like the bottom of your ribs and then up is one. And then the other 3/4 of your body, including both of your legs, your left arm, your heart, like your guts and belly, and both your legs. So like 3/4 of your body is serviced by one watershed, and then your right side, which I'm so curious, because how does that work with your brain? So like,
Yeah,
you
interesting.
know, isn't that
I was thinking that
interesting?
too when you were saying that, like the divides. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. But I was thinking someone was talking about the vagus nerve and then the lymphatic system are the two like systems that are like regulating all of this stuff at like a much deeper level. And they're not a lot. We don't learn a lot about them in school. Like we don't learn to like take care of them basically, but that they're very
Right.
powerful. Yeah, they're like they're very emotionally tied up too. Like they're tied up with our emotional.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first sign that you're having a lymphedema uh flare up is being grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of think of them as our emotional systems, like
Yeah.
they move emotion. Yeah. So it's all tied together. So it's a beautiful, that water element. We are water babies, man. We're mostly water. Okay. So turning to the north, we welcome the west. So the beautiful north element is of earth. I think of this, for me, it always comes back to the standing bodies, right? Like our physical body. We were talking about the bones now, structures, and the trees, the standing plants, the stones and crystals and things that feel like they hum at this like more steady vibration, right? Like this kind of things that feel solid, things that feel like the material world. And it's hard because our culture is really fixated on things that is the material world, but that these things are kind of, they're powerful because they persist and we can touch them and we can experience them. We eat food, we get hungry. Our ancestors survived, like their bones, their DNA is passed on, like this idea that we inhabit these physical forms. And that, yeah, there's all this lymphatic and energetic and sound. I mean, it's all these things happening within these physical bodies, but what we can see and touch and hug and pick up and put in our mouths, to eat, and like all these, that is, it's a part of being human and experiencing life in this really unique way. And if we're, we die and we become spirits, we don't get to do that. Like it's a special thing.
Yes.
It only lasts 50 years, 70 years, but here we are, this is our moment to touch everything. And anybody who, loses a sense, either they can't walk or they can't hear, or it's a big, you notice it. I mean, like, so too, we are often just not in gratitude for what the amazing gift we have, which is just being able to experience the five senses and being on here. And that's enough. I mean, that's like enough to be tripping ecstatic about. And if you really stop and notice it, if you're having a bad day, just like drop into like, whoa, this is what this rock feels like. I mean, and I can touch it. And the way I can experience that is by these nerve endings in my fingers, and it's sending a signal to my, I mean, if you pay attention to the physical realm and that's all you're into, it's enough to be
Mhm.
mind-blowingly complex, amazing what this earth is, this physical reality is. And I think it's only because we get caught in our minds and we're not paying attention that we forget like how incredible it is to be alive.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's a trip, man. Like
It's a total trip.
we are like I don't know what our souls are made of, but these bodies are amazing.
Oh,
Amazing.
so amazing.
And I'm
Yeah.
so grateful when I have the time away from like to drop in. And I'm just like, whoa, I got up this morning and this whole reality is just here. I'm not dreaming. I could touch things and do stuff. So the earth to me is, and then all the other things that are having their physical forms doing stuff. And then you get to go out and interact with every plant out there, which is offering its unique medicine. I mean, my God, nettles are up right now. And I just went and looked at them. And it's just amazing to me, to think about nettles coming up and how medicine that they're offering my body when I'm menstruating, like how I crave them, how they're the perfect thing for me. And there they are. It's just like this symbiotic, like we're not here alone. This is, you
We're
know,
not here alone, for
all
sure.
nature. We're all connected and we're all like giving nutrients to each other. I mean, the whole thing is really cool.
It's
So
super cool. It's
that's
super,
my
super,
invocation of the earth
no,
elementals.
so cool. So, having just spent 2 weeks in the land of enchantment, the
Mm,
beautiful state of New Mexico, deeply enchanted by that place. And I think part of it is that here everything's covered up with life, like the side of earth that is here is so verdant, so green, like you don't really see the bones here.
yeah.
And when you're in a drier place, it's like the bones are so there and the beauty does not stop.
Right.
Like you think like,
Mm,
oh, this is what's beautiful, this beautiful Pacific Northwest. And it is deeply, overwhelmingly, miraculously wondrous. But then you realize literally there is nothing ugly.
right.
There
Yeah.
is no ugliness. Like if
There's
you
no
look at
ugly.
nature, there it is
Mhm.
all beauty. Like and
Absolutely.
and like yeah, New Mexico, my Lord.
Mm,
Like it's just every
yeah.
you're driving and like 1 minute to the next it's like where you're hiking it's like, oh, we hiked up this ridge, and then you look over here and it's like completely
Mm,
new miraculous beauty,
mm,
and all the bones being right there. So evoking the north, I want to call in the ancestors,
mm,
especially the ancestors who are here trying to help, and not the ancestors who are just like working on their healing. I want them to keep working on that. But the ancestors, the well ancestors, oh, thank you so much. Thank you,
yeah.
thank you, thank you. And I just, yeah, the trees, the stones, the bones,
Mm,
all of it, the gravity of the earth. She holds us to her like a mother holds its baby to the breast. How lucky we are.
mhm.
Thank you
Yeah.
to the earth that grows the trees,
Mm,
that holds us and feeds us and loves us and does that for all the miraculous web of life that is all that is on this planet. And it is, we live on the planet at the same time as the vermilion flycatcher.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
It is a wild time to be alive, no doubt. But being alive is wild. That's what we're here to do. I mean, it's a
yes.
wild ride. Yeah. So as we wrap this up, I just want to take one, like we call the center, right? So we call the four directions And then we kind of invoke this energetic line, like this, you can imagine like a tree trunk, I guess. It would be the tree trunk itself, like from the heavens to the root
Mm.
system below, and then of course the beautiful like body of the tree itself, and um that pillar, between heaven and earth, and the four directions all around it. So it's kind of a sphere, really, that we invoke. And yeah, so I just, in the center, which maybe is the cosmic, where everything meets, where all these things intertwine and miracles happen. And like, I want to just invoke that anything can happen, that we are not in a fixed trajectory, because in the center is where these timelines are running, like all the, like you said, we're on one, we're in a pivot point. We can go this way, we can go that way. But I believe intention is what moves our timelines. Like it's what you're visioning. It's what you're putting your focus on. It's what you're calling in. It's what you're praying for. It's what, it's what you're, and so to clear the channel, when I said at the top, this is the channel I'm talking about. It's the channel that's coming down and up and back and forth in between all these elemental influences, keeping that nice and clear so that you can set the intention on where you want to go. And I've been using this meditation of kind of casting out like a little ball. Like if you have a ball of yarn that's made of light or something, like rolling that down the path that you want to go, and then seeing it, someone in the future picking that ball of yarn up, and now you're both holding it, and you could start winding your way towards the future you, this future ancestor, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 1,000 years from now. One really cool thing I read in the news lately was that there was a tortoise who gave birth to her first eggs at 130 years old in I think in Philadelphia, in one of the zoos. And they were just like, brand new mama at 130. And one of the things they said were like, well, we're really looking forward to these children having like a healthy, beautiful life 100 years from now. And it made me so happy, because it's so rare that you step out of the human timeline and you think of a tortoise timeline where like, at 130, she's just getting started, I mean, she just had her first eggs, and it's like, this is a longer timeline. Earth is a longer timeline. So just remember that, in 100 years, these babies are just going to be getting started. Like there's, for us, that's such a long way to think about. For a baby tortoise, that's not, that's when they're hitting their prime and having babies themselves.
Nice.
So the tortoise line, and we think of this as Turtle Island, right? So I love that. Like in Turtle Island, like think of tortoise time and where we want to be when those baby tortoises are getting ready to have their first egg hatch. That's the timeline I call in the center, this beautiful, healthy earth where tortoises are thriving. And there's
trees and trees and trees.
Yeah, and there's a beautiful, population of them thriving. That's mine.
And people have access to looking at the stars.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a truly dark place reminds me of what a privilege that is, and I want it to be less of a privilege and more of a right. That people get to experience the dark skies and see the stars and watch the moon.
Absolutely. Because we are also on a small planet hurtling through a very vast cosmos. So not forget that either. Like Earth isn't the only game out there. Like there's so much life beyond even our planet. We spent so much time talking about us and our experience here, but I mean, really, life is much, much bigger than planet Earth.
And don't you feel like when you get to be under a really dark star-filled sky,
oh my gosh,
you can't help but shift. Like
it's like for me, the only time I've experienced that, and it's only been a couple of times, it's like you're on a starship. Like you really understand, like you're on the Starship Enterprise and like space, you know what I mean? Like you get it, like, oh, we're in space. Like we're not just, because you forget that. Like that's the sky, you don't think about it. But like, no, and when you really see a dark sky, when it's all around you, horizon to horizon, and you're like, whoa, we're floating in space and we are Starship Earth, and it's a wild experience. It changes your complete perception of what's going on. It's almost frightening. You're like, wow, it's a
Yeah, it's
really,
disorienting. It's
yeah,
very disorienting
yeah, it's
in
really
a
powerful
beautiful way, I
in a
think.
in a very necessary way. That
Yeah.
we all remember that we're small, we're little dots. So again, don't, this this life is a miracle. Make it what you want, but it's a just a one little speck in a much bigger unfolding of space, reality, and time. So with all of that nurture awareness, I think we're gonna, unless you have any final words, I
No,
think we
no.
kick off season 2 in this most beautiful way. But this is kind of where we're going. We want to keep this awareness flowing, that we are in the sacred wheel of life, and we are created by it, and we are creating it with every conversation, and you podcast listeners are a part of it and creating it too. And so we're very, very grateful to have you along for a second season. And yeah, here we go.
Yes. Here we go.